I think the city, just the
It is.
city, right?
City state, where we're at, not where we
actually
missed.
read,
Okay,
I've actually read that.
Go ahead.
I've actually read that you're supposed to say your township or city, county, and state. That's what I've been doing.
Okay.
And that's the new open meetings guidelines for the virtual meetings.
Cool, let's do that.
Okay, Winchester.
Here, Holly Township, Oakland County, Michigan.
Tribe Snyder.
President Rose Township, Oakland County, Michigan.
Cullis.
Here, Holly
It
Township.
is my
I'm sorry.
Go on, George.
I'm here, Holly Township, Oakland County, Michigan.
Stauffer.
Present, Troy, Oakland County, Michigan.
Gamka.
Present, Highland Township, Oakland County, Michigan.
Chief Lentz.
Here, Holly, Michigan, Oakland County.
Okay.
Okay, we have a quorum. We'll continue with the meeting. We have a proposed agenda for today. I've got a question about it that I'm trying to get an answer to, and that's the item 7D. I'm trying to understand what that is and make sure that we're not proposing that we discuss something that happened in a closed session.
That is
Can I get some
correct.
clarification?
Yeah, that nothing of the content will be discussed.
Can we know what the subject matter is so that we potentially have the potential to be prepared to discuss it?
I have two issues that I feel that the board needs to be aware of, and so that there's no violations in the future.
Okay. And there will be no discussion about anything that happened in the
No
closed session?
content, no.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support?
support.
Okay. Roll call?
Winchester.
Here, yes.
Tribe Snyder.
Yes.
Cullis.
Yes.
Stauffer.
Yes.
Gamka.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. We have approval of the minutes from the April 20th. No. What is going on here? These dates are goofy. This should be approval of the minutes from the March 16th meeting, no?
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct. That's a typo. It should be March 16th.
And not the special that was covered before.
We didn't have the meeting minutes at that time.
So
Right.
that is included here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's March 16th and the special meeting. Is there any comments, any corrections, additions to either of those minutes? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
Oh, aren't they all under, Peter, aren't they all under the consent agenda that we just approved?
Yep, that's my confusion. I'm trying
They
to.
could be. I could be having way too much fun passing motions and things. I treated the consent agenda first and didn't ask for inputs to the minutes. So we'll have to carry on this way because I didn't.
Well,
Are
I
you
would
going
move,
by this agenda?
I motioned, so I would
To
amend
include
my
everything.
motion to correct the approval of the minutes from April 20th to March 16th.
Okay. And then that will be inclusive of not only the proposed agenda, but a change to this and the minutes from the prior two meetings.
Yes.
Okay.
And Diane, you support?
Can we
Support.
support? Okay. And then can we
We
roll call?
support.
Do roll call? We're gonna do
Yes,
roll
please.
call again?
Yes.
Okay. Winchester,
Yes.
Shive Snyder,
Yes.
Cullis,
Yes.
Stouffer,
Yes.
Gamka.
Yes.
So just a question on my part, just so I understand this, when we're doing this, then we don't actually ever then review the financial summary that's here on the front page. We just accept it as part of the consent agenda with no discussion whatsoever. So-
Right. And then if you have an issue with anything under the consent agenda, you can request that to be pulled out of the consent agenda and added to business for further discussion.
Okay. George?
Well, if I may, typically meetings have on the agenda, you approve the agenda, then you approve the consent agenda, which has specific items within it. And with the first agenda approval, you would have an opportunity to modify what's on the agenda or to amend the agenda.
Mhm.
The consent agenda is usually for paying bills and for approving all of those things. And then like Karen said, if somebody needs to pull something down. So when you have a consent agenda, but you have no agenda approval, it's kind of a very broad brush you're painting with.
So really we have a structural issue with the way that we do this.
It's that, yeah, George didn't like it. We used to do the same thing at the township for years. George didn't like the way that we did it, so.
In Rose Township, we do approval of the agenda and then we
Do,
approval of the consent agenda following that.
Okay.
So that could be a change.
Okay, so we will make that change going forward. And a point of clarification that actually came up prior to this is right now Chief Lintz is creating the agenda. Is that what we're supposed to be doing? Is that proper? I know that's the way we've done it forever. And that's not really the question I'm asking. Is that what we want? Is that who's supposed to be creating the agendas and what's the approval process supposed to be for that?
he has, just because he's the one that knows all the business that is required to, to deal with at the department level.
Yeah, I was going to say, it has to come from the department because they know what business needs to be conducted. I would think, and he typically does this via email, he asks if there's anything for the agenda. And then I would think final approval would be between he and the chair. And at that point, it gets printed out. That would be my thought process on the topic.
Okay. It's just that right now the bylaws are unclear as to who's supposed to do that. It kind of references that it's the secretary's job, but it's certainly not clear one way or another. And I'm curious as to what everyone thought. So it
And I had
sounds like
done
the
that,
consensus
yeah.
is,
I did it
consensus
years
is-
and years ago in the early 2000s probably, as the secretary, or mid 2000s, I'm not sure.
okay. So, okay, with that, I don't hear anyone disagreeing with that, so we'll continue down that path. And Jeremy, you may have to get some clarification from George as to exactly how to restructure this consent agenda portion up on top to make sure that we catch that going forward. And then I do want to add that step that George mentioned, which is as part of that process that you go through already, that you get the chairs sign off on the agenda before they're distributed.
Yeah, it sounds like Diane and I are on the same page on this one.
Yep.
As to how that runs.
Look at that, Rose Township and Holly Township agreeing. Come on, everyone smile.
Damn.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
that's how we do it too. That's a good way to conduct the business of the the agenda, absolutely.
Okay, thank you for that. Moving on to reports then, Chief's report.
Run counts in your packet. We had 95 calls for March, 81 in district, 14 out of district, 66 EMS related and 33 transports. Let the board know, but we had a structure fire in Holly Township 2 weeks ago on Fish Lake Road. Everybody did a fantastic job to stop that in its tracks when they got on scene and saved most of the house. It started outside in a chicken coop and burned that structure, which was located close to the house. And the wind blew it into the house, so it burned actually from the outside in. When we got there, the whole back of the house was involved and had gotten inside into the kitchen area. And the men and women got in there and knocked it down and saved most of the house. Nobody was hurt. A wonderful job. I also let the board know that Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin was part of a host of a Congress Appropriations Committee grant for communities, and I submitted application into that for $487,000, which would be for 2 ambulances and some renovation work to the training room, new learning and teaching equipment. So that was sent in last Friday, and they did receive it. I don't know when they're going to make a decision or not. They can only have 10 applicants, and I believe there were about 55 or 60 that they received. So we'll keep you notified of that. Other than that, I do not have anything else.
I just have one question for the chief in regards to his report. How the heck does a fire start in a chicken coop?
Heat lamp.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I never even thought about a heat lamp.
We actually get about 1 a year around here between the 2 townships.
Okay, nope, I completely forgot about a heat lamp.
It usually just burns the enclosure, but this enclosure happened to be right close to the house, so.
Okay,
Was that event must have been in April because it's not on the report of the structure fire.
It was, I believe, the first week of April.
and did you also have a big accident on I-75?
Springfield had a pretty horrific single car accident with very severe trauma to the individual, the driver, that they initiated life flight helicopter. But they called our ALS unit to stabilize the patient while we were waiting for the helicopter. And I think I sent out the memo from Chief Eichner from Springfield thanking the guys that were on that call for stabilizing the patient so that the life flight chopper could get him out of there.
Thank you for that. Always great to hear the great work that you guys do. It's just, this is why you do what you do. It's amazing. So appreciate that. Rose Township, is there a report?
Our cleanup day is May 15th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Civic Park, located next to Station 3 on Rose Center Road at Milford Road. The first no-haz collection of the season, where you can take your household hazardous waste, as this Saturday, and you can't register online for it anymore because it's closed at this time. But if you show up, they'll take you, but it might be a long wait because they're booked as far as they're concerned, but they'll take you if you show up. So that's Saturday, April 24th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And this one's going to be at Oxford Middle School. You can go to NOHAZ, Oakland County NOHAZ, NOHAZ online and look at what's allowable to take there. Rose Township participates in that, and it's free to Rose Township residents. We had a presentation from Ron Campbell. Our old hall renovation was approved for drawings by the township board to proceed with drawings, engineered drawings, and quotes. We'll be adding addition to the back for our with a lift and removing the ramp that is existing now. Ron Campbell with Oakland County did the drawings for us. They're great to work with. I know you guys have worked with them in Holly as well. That's all well, I actually am doing purses for a purpose as well, and that's through the Michigan State Police, and I'll be next week delivering them purses and contents for purses that go in purses for abused women that are going to shelters. Sometimes they leave and they have nothing with them. So I've been collecting here at Rose Township purses and items that would go in purses, and I'll be delivering that next week to the Michigan State Police, our district branch.
Excellent. Does the Rose Township Hall upgrades include addition of or improvements to the fire suppression system?
It is going to give us an additional fire egress is what it's going to do. We have
suppression.
No
suppression, no sprinklers.
No.
Is this the building you're currently in?
No, it's our old hall that is historical, and we've used for our we use it right now only for election, and that's the only purpose we've been using it for at this time.
Oh,
We used to have our meetings there. We used to have our offices in the basement.
are you changing that use or no?
From offices, it'll be a small assembly use.
Oh, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the building. It's up front there.
Pardon me?
It's the building up front on the top of the hill.
Yes, it's our historic building. It's the only public building left in the township.
Oh, okay.
Or building that was of public use. All the schools and things that were historic are now no longer in the township. So I don't know the date of it, but it's very old.
Like
I think like
1880s
100
or something?
Pardon me?
1880s?
1881, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Seems like it's in that price range.
Okay, thank you for that. Paul, do you have anything to add, Rose Township?
No, not this time. It was a quiet meeting.
Okay. Holly Township, any reports?
Our spring cleanup is May 8th, and it's going to be held in a new location. It'll be at the Carl Richter campus in the front of the building. It'll give us an opportunity to get the cars off the main road and put them on the side streets. So we're going to need some help over there as we redesign how we do this. And then we'll still have a fall cleanup. After we have the spring cleanup, we'll be able to model the fall one better because we will have had a trial run and figuring out how to do it. So we're going forward on that. We are still working on the sewer program out on Dixie Highway. We're right now in the grant, applying for grants. And that's pretty much it. I had one more thing and it just left me. So if it comes up, I'll bring it up again.
George, do you mind repeating where the location is? You broke up and I couldn't hear what you said.
It's at the Carl Richter campus.
Okay, thank you.
Karen, anything to add to the Holly report?
No, thank you.
Okay. And I have no chairman's report today, so that covers that portion of it.
Oh, Peter?
Yeah,
I remembered what it was. Chief Lentz, just as part of my report, you had an incident at a home on Fish Lake Road. The gentleman that wore the aluminum foil hat, the house that had all the block inside. I just wondered, I was out there recently and it looks like he's got it all loaded up. That block is all back in the house and all of that stuff appears to be on there. Is there, I mean, we're aware of that. Is there anything we can do because it's on the inside of the house to stop it? I'm just concerned if we have that another fire like you had before, that's a terrible situation. And my concern is it puts our guys in even more danger than normal.
Yeah, we can't enforce anything inside residential. I mean, what they do is, their own responsibility.
Wow. Okay, that's unfortunate. Thank you,
Okay.
Peter.
That concludes the reports. We have no presentations, is that correct? Okay. We have some unfinished business that we need to deal with. It still falls under the closed session letter of opinion that we received from Mr. Laddie on February 16th. And so I'd like to move that we move to closed session to discuss an employment issue or to discuss an issue that's covered under section 13D of the Opens Meeting Act, MCL 15.243. Can I have a second for support?
Support.
Okay. I have support from Ms. Scheib-Snyder. Pat, could you take a roll call to enter into a closed session?
Yes, Stauffer,
Yes.
Scheib-Snyder,
Yes.
Winchester,
No,
Gamka,
Yes.
Cullis,
Yes.
4-1.
Okay, and it requires a 2/3 majority to enter into a closed session. So 4 out of 5 represents 2/3 majority. So we will, I've sent you a link under separate cover to join the Zoom meeting as a closed session. And when we're done there, we'll come back to this meeting. Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
You there?
Treasurer Gamka, are you good, sir?
No, I don't have the link.
All right, hold on. I will let the chief know in the other room. Mr. Gamka, I let him know.
All right, they need to send it to me at my office,
Which one is that?
paul@gamkacpa.com.
Okay. Yeah, they're in a closed session right now, waiting for them to come in.
What can I use to clean metal tools that were rusting together? I was thinking a WD-40, but I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah, another PB blaster.
But the set of irons that was in the tanker were rusted together.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. PB blaster is the best thing.
PB blaster?
Yeah, you can take a break. Can I get all that right now or something?
Okay. I just thought I'd at least because I'm going through it and then
Yeah,
rusted together, so it's a good thing I started.
yeah, that will probably WD-40 will work for the time being.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we just say that, why don't we just approve the contract is written without going through all that?
We
Yeah,
could.
make a motion to approve the contract as presented.
Yes,
Okay, so hearing no support for Diane's motion.
Which
we're-
was
We're letting
actually
that one
already-
die. And George, you're making a new motion.
I make. a
Well, I have an
motion-
original motion, don't forget. With support from Karen, and I had the 36,000 in it, so. Just,
Would you be so kind as to withdraw that motion?
oh, sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
I support.
Okay, go ahead, George.
I'll just make a motion to approve the 2021-2024 fire dispatch service agreement between Oakland County and the North Oakland County Fire Authority as presented.
Support.
Support from Karen. Not that I'm trying to cut off discussion, but can we just go to a roll call, please?
Ready?
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Hollis,
Yes,
Winchester,
Yes,
Gamka,
Yes.
Stauffer,
yes.
Shibe Snyder,
Yes.
motion carries.
Moving on, next order of new business, review of the NACFA capital equipment replacement schedule.
That was also in your packet. It says Excel spreadsheet with anticipated capital equipment replacement schedule. Mr. Stauffer had requested this a few months back. So I went out, well, actually went out more than 5 years, but we're going to focus on the next 5 years. Capital equipment, what the anticipated date would be to replace this equipment. It's obviously something that's probably not going to happen, but nevertheless needed to give the board an understanding of our, high ticket items and where we stand with them. The first year is showing for this next upcoming fiscal year. We've got a brush truck that's 1986 that needs to be replaced. Should have been replaced a while ago. We did write the grant for that for this year. So we'll see what the outcome of that is. We have ambulance that needs to be replaced that should have been done 5 years ago. Also a grant potential with this Slotkin grant that I wrote for. Station room training remodel. We're in bad need of just an overall remodel on that. That room is 11 years old. We still have the same original furniture, tables and chairs, learning equipment. It just needs an overhaul for as much as we use that for educational purposes in the classes that we hold. That is a very good investment to keep that up to date. I've also, at least for the last 3 years, been trying to find money to get 2 staff vehicles, one for the assistant chief, who goes out quite a bit and does inspections and building code enforcement type stuff versus fire stuff. He's always running to, meetings for this, that, and the other. Also a staff vehicle for our EMS coordinator, who's also should technically have his own vehicle that he's doing his day-to-day business in. And also he has to respond to runs as a supervisor in a lot of cases. So there's 2 staff vehicles. Lucas devices, those are the devices that we do CPR with. They are a godsend, and unfortunately, they're about 22,000 a piece. We only have them in 2 of the 4 ambulances. So when we get multiple calls like we're on now, we're on 3 separate medicals. We don't have that device, for that 3rd call. So just in this upcoming fiscal year alone, you see that those items, if we don't get any grants for any of them, would cost us, close to $500,000. We have nowhere near that kind. We've got $68,000 in our capital account right now.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes.
How do you buy a staff vehicle for $15,000?
Well, it would be obviously used vehicles. We've looked
Okay.
at, DNR, other departments that are getting new ones and getting rid of theirs. It obviously is something that I'm being conservative on and trying to do, not buy brand new vehicles, of course, but I put 15,000 in there because it's a median number.
Have we looked at lease options?
We have not. That is an option though. But again, it's still going to impact the budget, and we just haven't had the money to purchase those types of things in the last 5 years.
Just curious.
Dan?
Are these vehicles gonna be at the station for other department use? Or are these, the assistant chief and the EMS coordinator going to be using these vehicles for other uses?
Well, the intent is to have these be their vehicles that they use, like I use mine. I mean, they are doing enough day-to-day administrative business and running calls 24/7. That leaving that vehicle here or leaving it for other people, I've thought about that. I've gone over it. I've asked other departments what they do. And for their positions and their responsibilities and stuff, it just wouldn't work out efficiently for them to have that vehicle parked here at the station when they may have to go to a call in the middle of the night or something like that. So again, I'm just trying to be conservative. I wouldn't go out and purchase 2 brand new $40,000 vehicles for them, but they do deserve to have something that isn't their own vehicle that they're utilizing for this.
And this would be discussed prior to the purchase as well.
Of course, and understand this is just a wish list, if you will. We don't have nowhere near the money to support any of these items right now, unless we did, like I said, maybe look into lease options or borrow money again for something, but.
No, and I understand what this list is, and I really appreciate you did this because it allows us to start, understanding what you want and planning for the future. In a perfect world, we have 68,000 in the capital budgets, and we need to find a way to come up with 435. And
Yeah.
Hopefully you're attacking it through some grants and things like that.
I am doing what I can on every opportunity that comes across my desk for grants. I don't think we've ever processed this many grants as we have this year. So I'm trying. They're few and far between, as you know, but yeah, this just gives you an indication of how badly we need to start putting money away in that capital budget.
I think it's interesting that we have a 1986 vehicle in our fleet. I wasn't aware of that.
It's officially antique, isn't it?
It will go for a lot more than what it is blue booked at, because everybody that sees that from companies that come in and do work or something, every person that sees that truck, I've got literally a list of 5 or 6 names that people have told me to put down over the years. Whenever we go to sell it, they are interested in buying it. So,
well, that's what my other question is. How many vehicles do we have for sale currently?
Engine 3 is still the only vehicle for sale. Matt just got another hit on that from a department down in Arizona 2 days ago. So
what kind of prices are we looking for that?
We dropped the price down on that to 20,000 from 25,000.
Okay.
Diane?
That grant that George and I wrote in support of just recently, when does that, when do you know if you're at least in that top couple that's going to be moved over?
Yeah, I don't know. Jennifer Doherty, who's the lady in Washington that's kind of overseeing all this, she just emailed me today that everything was complete and that they received it and that they'll be in touch as the process continues. That's all it says. So there wasn't a date on the instructions of when they were gonna choose or whatever. I'm sure Alyssa Slotkin's office will let us know if we even met the 10.
Right.
And of course, I'll let you guys know when that happens, if it happens.
When I talked to them, there were 60 applications. Do you know if that number went up since I think I talked to them the day before it was supposed to be, the information was supposed to be provided?
When I sent the applications were due at noon on Friday. I sent ours out at 11 o'clock and then I emailed Jennifer to make sure, I wanted to make sure she got it. She responded back and said, I thought she told me 53.
Oh, okay.
53 responses. But I know Groveland Township also applied because their chief called me on Thursday night and wanted me to write a letter of support to him for their training facility. They're going for a station and training facility. And then I told him, well, I really can't do that because we'd be competing with each other, and he didn't realize we were putting in for it too. So besides that, I don't know what other municipalities put in or what it was for. I tried to be, again, sort of modest with our costs and not, asking for $3 million or anything like that. So.
All right, thank you.
Just a question of curiosity. Aren't we using our training center for other departments? Haven't you said in the past that other departments are using our training facilities?
Well, when we host the fire academies, which is every year, those are, students from all over the region with other, sponsored by other departments. So yes.
Yeah. So why would we support somebody else having a training center?
Well, he was looking for support letters regarding a training center because the grant said that, things will be looked at and more, if you have the more support that you had from different people or from around your community, the better the chances were, something like that. So he was just factoring in us, I guess utilizing the training center at some point if they got it. So.
And there's a lot of shared training between the different municipalities.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we do. We go to other people's trainings and other people come to ours depending on what it is. So.
Chief, does it make sense to amend the current budget that we just agreed to send to the townships to start funding the capital account?
So every year on our budgets, our operating budgets, we set aside, and I try to make it 100,000 each year that goes into the capital account. It's part of the operating budget. The problem is that when we have these unforeseen things that happen during a year, we never actually seem to come to that balance to put into the capital fund. Now, with the current budget, or I'm sorry, with the FY22 budget that we just voted on, again, because it was quite a big increase, I didn't even budget 100,000 for next year. I budgeted 92,000. So it just
that gives us a 68 that's sitting in the account now, supposedly maybe sitting there at the end of the fiscal, plus an additional 92. And that's really the capital we have available to spend in the next fiscal.
Well, hopefully when we finish up this current fiscal year, if we stay within budget, there is $100,000 allocated to get transferred over. So hopefully in July 1st, when we get into the new fiscal year, we will then have 168,000 in our capital.
Oh, the 100,000 from this year isn't in that 68 yet.
No, it is not.
It's okay, it's in a general fund of some sort and you would
We
transfer
don't,
it at
yeah,
year end.
we wait until we get to the year end to know that we have that much to even move. But, you know,
So the 92 then that gets allocated in your budget for next year isn't actually spendable until the end of next fiscal? Or can you spend it mid-cycle?
no, we can spend it mid-cycle.
Okay, even though it hasn't been transferred over to the capital fund.
Yeah, but we always use it for a rainy day fund throughout the current year because we're always running into, you know, issues with things that pop up that we didn't anticipate. We don't have any other means to fund that, so we kind of take it out of that that line item. So by the end of the year, a lot of times that gets dwindled down from its original 100,000 to whatever.
So basically, we use our capital equipment replacement fund as our fund balance.
In a lot of cases, yes.
Okay.
But if all goes according to plan, you end up with 68 plus 100 plus an available 92 for a total of 260,000 of available capital expenditures.
As
And
of
then-
July 1st, yes.
As of July 1st, and you have the potential for some grants to cover the remainder. It sounds relatively healthy.
Well, it's not.
Okay.
If you look at, again, where we're going back to the anticipated equipment replacement schedule, I mean, if you look for the next fiscal year, 2023,
Yeah, that one's ugly.
there's another $570,000 there. If we were healthy with our capital equipment replacement fund, it should be roughly $1 million. Half of our operating budget. And a lot of departments like to do a full, you know, operating budget. If their operating budget's $2 million, they've got $2 million in their capital outlay.
So I guess the question I'm trying to get to is, should we be asking for more money from the townships to beef up the capital equipment fund?
We should, but just given my experience and my years of service here in the communities, you know, I try to create the budget so that it's not something that people get scared away. It's not overbearing. Should we add another $200,000 to the budget to go into capital? Yes. Will that fly? Probably not.
Peter, I think part of that is reflected on the money that's collected through the taxes and what's available. To do what you're talking about certainly could be attempted, but it might require a millage increase.
I'm just trying to understand what Chief's got to go through here to manage it. So I understand that, George, and that actually makes sense. So if we're not willing to go ask the townships for the money, then we've got to whittle down this 435 to match the budget.
And we do that by, you know, applying for all
grants.
applying for all the grants we can. You know, it's like it's a rock and a hard place. It's
Yep.
you know, what's the happy medium, and what's asking for too much before we, you know, say no, we're not going to get anything. I will tell you that over the last 3 years, we've gotten a more comfortable budget. I guess I should use that term for the operational side, where we've been able, like I said, I'm anticipating hopefully the full 100,000 by the end of this fiscal year. We haven't been able to do that in quite some time. So I think with the increases that have been made over the last 3 years, that we're getting up to par on wages, we're hiring new full-time people. Is that going to continue? Well, that depends on the growth of the community. It's showing continued growth every year. I don't see it stopping, but what I'm saying is I think we're in a lot better position than we were 7 or 8 years ago, where, we, by the end of the year, didn't have anything that we were able to contribute into the capital reserve fund. Hence the reason that it's as low as it is.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
I think we've been riding 68,000 for the last 2 years.
Well, I appreciate you putting the list together because I think it'll make for great discussions as we move forward. And as you've done in the past, each time we're actually in a position to do these, you'll bring it to the board for approval for that. I mean, the only two that are on here that are not potential grants are the 2 vehicles,
Right.
as of right now. So,
And like I said, there's opportunities that come, there may be grants for those. I know we've looked at the DNR, who tend to sometimes give away their used vehicles. So, I try to be thrifty and do what we can to save money, but this is, again, just at a glance. If we don't have any grants or anything, this is what we need. This is
okay.
how much it's going to cost.
Just a side question. Do we currently reimburse for mileage for the assistant chief and for the EMS coordinator?
We do not. I offer them to fill up their gas tanks when they're doing like special things where they have to go for far distances and stuff like that. And, maybe pay them a little extra for their time going. But as far as paying mileage, no, we don't.
We're not doing the 56 cents a mile thing.
No, I try to, like I said, I try to kind of do different things to make that up, if you will, to them. So.
Okay. Any other questions about this? Okay, thanks for that, Chief. I really think this is an important document for us to plan forward. It's our understanding where we're trying to get to.
You're welcome.
Thank you. With that, we have the last item is currently on new business. Discussion regarding an alleged Open Meetings Act violation during a recent closed session.
Okay. Like say actually during and after, and I don't mean it to be confrontational, but I think it really needs to be brought out into the open and make the board aware in the future that it should be maybe handled a little bit differently. During our closed session, when I was making some statements about how I felt, I was muted. That took away my right or my participation in the meeting, which you are not allowed to do under the Open Meetings Act unless you are disorderly. I was not called out to say I was disorderly, so I believe that that was a violation. In addition, I had a person give me a call that wishes to remain anonymous. It's my understanding from that conversation that Paul Gamka was overheard discussing the closed session with a staff member at Rose Township. That is also a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Both of these are misdemeanors, but it's also something that we really need to take seriously and should not happen again in the future.
Could I respond to the part that involves me? That was Debbie Miller, by the way, who was the anonymous person. And what I did is I said we did have a closed session, and I said that nothing had been decided yet. And Debbie walked in. So whether she wants to say, I mean, this is Debbie at her finest, is exaggerating the truth.
I don't know if anybody else is having an issue with the audio, but Paul was very difficult to hear.
I could hear him.
Okay.
Some people are a little bit choppy every once in a while, but actually in the beginning it seemed worse, but now it seems better.
Okay.
Okay, Karen, as far as the muting. I don't recall what you're speaking about.
I don't either.
Well, there was a time during the meeting when I was making some uncomfortable statements that I was muted.
So you know for a fact that I muted you?
It was right on the screen.
It was on the screen that Peter did it?
Well, he was in charge of the meeting, so I just assumed I wasn't
Oh,
pointing fingers.
Okay.
It certainly wasn't myself.
Yeah, I don't recall that. And if you are muted, you can unmute yourself, correct?
At any
Well,
time.
it took me a long time to do that,
Okay.
but that's, yeah, that's not acceptable under any circumstances during these electronic meetings that you mute, especially board members, unless they're disorderly conduct, and that should be called out to begin with by the chair.
Okay. I think you will find that all of my actions are not supporting your allegation that you've never seen any conduct like that from me at all. And so I strongly object to you even bringing that up, because I'm curious as to what your ulterior motive is with bringing that up.
I
So
have no ulterior motive whatsoever. It happened.
okay. Is there any further discussion on Karen? George, you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
in
No.
regards to open meeting violations, I think those are handled by the prosecutor's office. They're the ones that determine if it was or wasn't a violation.
Even, well, potential. So I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the board that shouldn't happen.
I would ask Karen that going forward, since again I'm a rookie at doing this, if you find me doing something that you find in violation or you believe to be in violation of the Open Meetings Act, that you would provide some guidance to me to make sure
I
that
sure
doesn't
will.
happen. I appreciate
Okay.
that. Diane?
Well, I'm just curious why, if you felt you were muted, why you didn't say something at the meeting.
It was already contentious enough as it was.
Oh, I was gonna say you can't say
Okay.
anything if you're muted.
Yeah, well, and at that point, somebody else was talking and it just didn't make sense, and I was already, yeah, it was already contentious enough, Diane. Didn't
Okay.
need to add to it.
Okay. Any further discussion on this item? Okay. Hearing none. We move on to public comment. Is there any public comment? Everyone appears to be muted just in case you're actually trying to say something.
Mr. Chairman, I raised my hand.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Just for the record and for your information as the chairman of the board, this meeting was unfortunately not recorded in its entirety, as we had 3 medicals in a row and had to empty every station. It was paused while you guys went into your closed session, sir, and did not get picked back up until the motion to approve the dispatch contract. So anything between you coming back to regular meeting and the dispatch contract was not recorded. I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. But Pat, you have full minutes, right?
Yes.
Thank you for that.
In the future, is there a way to give that administrative capability to Pat? Because she wouldn't be going on a call.
If Pat has I can't give the administrative responsibility away on the Zoom account unless she is a Zoom member, then I can put her in charge of the meeting.
Well, going forward, I'm a Zoom member, so you could give me administrative rights if you have to leave for some reason.
And
Perfect.
same here. I am one too.
Yeah, so we have a number of people, so we can.
Perfect. I wasn't aware of that, and I will handle that from this point forward.
Okay, I just, because obviously you guys have to go on what you have to go on, but if somebody else has that authority, then, or that ability, then we can just turn it on.
Dan, you're muted. I didn't do that.
Okay, now if we're going to a closed session, though, both of you are leaving, so you would have to, I think, give it to somebody else, I believe.
Good point. I would be leaving the meeting and,
Yeah,
So-
the
so it
meeting
has to
that
be
you were
someone-
giving, yeah, so that wouldn't work unless
Yeah,
it was somebody who was staying, and that would be,
good point.
No, it would work. All you do
Yeah.
is shut the recording off as you go into closed. Once you come out of closed, you turn the recording back on.
Right.
I don't think you can have two active Zoom sessions at the same
You
time,
can't.
George. I think that's the
once you
problem.
leave, once you
No,
leave.
but
the
you
meeting,
close
leave
one
the meeting.
before you leave it. And then when you come back to it, you turn on record.
Restart it, and
Mhm.
then you'll have two sessions that way.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, you
could do that.
You would have two different recordings then.
Okay.
Any other public comments?
Mr. Chair, from Lieutenant Scott Blasko.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to touch base with the board. Working on our smoke detector and CO alarm program. This kind of goes more for Diane and George and Karen, because they both try to help me support this with the residents. Now that COVID's kind of running its course and everything else, I had a hard time getting more smoke alarms and CO alarms. But at the moment, I'm currently working on 50 CO alarms and between 75 and 100 smoke alarms from the state of Michigan. So once I have those in my possession, I would like to get something out to Diane, Karen, and George, and help me push those out to the residents. So I'm hoping to get this program back up and running within the next 30 days. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to your guys' attention.
Cool.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
Anyone else, public comment? Okay, hearing none.
Peter, if
Go
I
ahead, George.
if I could, just to remind you, the board has given you the authority to hire a company for their services. But as of right now, you don't have a vehicle or a way to pay for that service. It isn't in the current budget and it isn't in the future budget. So we will need to address that.
Thank you for that. With no more items on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed?
That's opposed.
You don't get a vote. Okay, thank you, everyone.